managing finances, or what you'd call money, in relationships is believed to be challenging. However, this shouldn't be the case. And I can tell you there's a way that this can be addressed with a number of solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alinda Bryan, Cornerstone Asset Managers, Fireplace, Episode 2. Today we have an interesting topic. And given that we are just coming from the Love Week, we thought it prudent to talk about love and money. How do these two relate? And with me today, we have a couple that will be sharing with you. And then also we have a number of single people that will be sharing with you their experience, and also people in relationships that will also be sharing with you. Thank you, first of all, for watching this episode. But I have a question for you. Do you think it's important to share your financial details with your partner, or would you find it better to keep it private? Drop your thoughts in the comments or send us a message. Would like to hear your thoughts and understand how you think about this aspect. The reason why we have a couple with us today, and also the singles and also others in relationship, is to have a feel of what it is like to manage finances in, a marriage setting, and also have a feel of how a single person manages their finances. The couple I have today with us have been in this game, or what I would call marriage relationship, for the last, call it 20 years. And they are experts who will share with us their thoughts of how they've managed to manage finances and also plan. And also the singles that are with us today have their views and thoughts on the same. We also have people or someone representing the relationship bit. Grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a glass of water or juice, stay hooked as we dive into this interesting topic. So allow me introduce our discussants tonight. On my left is our couple, and that is Dr. Eddie and his beautiful wife, Julie, who will later also introduce themselves. Then on my right, I have the Singles Club, call it the Singles Club, and someone representing the space of relationship, Sana Nandwani, Robinson, and also Jemima. Just to dive in, a question to you, the marrieds. What is that craziest thing you've done for love that has cost you money? When you wake up and you do something out of the blue, but then realize that, hey, this thing has actually cost me some money.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Cornerstone, for inviting us. My name is Eddie Mwevesa. I'm a palliative care physician. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Juliet. We've been married nearly 20 years.
Wow.
It will be 20 years in August. What have we done that is crazy? There's a time that we felt we wanted to get rich quickly so that we could just have a good time, retire early, retire rich. And so we were approached and we heard about an entity which asked us to put in a lot of money, and they let us know that their returns were very quick. And the requirement for that is that we had to deposit dollars into an account in one of the banks, and they assured us that there would be a quick turnaround of our money. The more money you put, the more you would earn. We were actually given a contract, and that stated it very clearly how much we would earn. We put, we put 15,000. And we had seen members of the public and some friends who had put in money. And they actually had confessed to us that that money had come back with dividends. They had received their money back with interest, and some of them were putting that money back, more of it. So we were very encouraged by their testimony, and we put in initially a small amount of money, and then we ended up sinking $15,000 in there. Little did we know it was a Ponzi scheme. This thing relied on people recruiting others. And at the end of the day, after we had put in $15,000, the thing collapsed. We still have the paperwork. And,
wow. Oh, my goodness.
That was for the sake of love and wanting to retire very early, very rich.
So, Eddie, you talk about $15,000 like it's pocket change. I'm just trying to envision it in Uganda shillings. That's almost, with today's rate, it's almost about 60 million or 70 or so. You want to tell me you looked at yourself retiring and giving your lovely wife a vacation and all that. Is that what you thought about when you're going into this Ponzi scheme?
What we thought about was the return. What we thought about was just how fast the money would return to us. And what we had was the testimony of people who had withdrawn their NSSF. They had sold land, they had got all their savings, and they had injected all that within this scheme. And for some of them, they had testified that they had got their money back with what had been agreed. So we had faith. So we did something similar. We literally got all our savings, borrowed, and invested what we thought was an investment. And that's how it ended. We learned how not to gamble at the end of the day. And we're now able to ask the critical question at this point. What is the business model behind this investment? Anyone who approaches us with any idea, we're able to ask key questions. And we can ask 2, 3, 4 questions, and we'll know whether we should invest there or whether we should trust it at all.
Wow. Thank you, Eddie, for sharing that that story. I mean, if you lose $15,000 today, you can literally run mad.
That is true.
But from your experience and from what you've shared, indeed, love and money have some sort of connection. And you did this out of love, and you got hit, and you learned the hard way. But what about our single people? From what Eddie has shared, Dr. Eddie and his lovely wife, and to you, our viewers, I don't know what's your take on this. As you plant your money out of excitement because of love, please listen to these interesting stories so that tomorrow you're not the next one. So our single people.
Thank you, Brian. My name is Jemima. I'm a financial advisor. You know, back in the day, when I had just started working, earning some money, and you know, there's this access to loans and all. So I get money and I buy a car. The guy I was dating at that time didn't have a car. Guess what I did? I transferred it into the guy's name.
Wow.
So just imagine it ended in tears. And yeah, eventually I got my car back and was able to sell it, but it was not easy. And I learned that lesson. Guys, you fall in love, but
So, ladies and gentlemen, love is what it is. It will make you do the craziest things you can imagine. Myself, I've been a victim as well, but luckily enough, I didn't lose money. I had to literally sell my car to finance one of my functions. So I had to agree and use Futsibishi, what you'd call tambulira kubigere, because I'd literally sold my car. But thank God, the woman I sold that car for, I'm still with her, thank God. So there's that side and also this side. So thank you guys for sharing your experience. And we leave that to the viewers to consider and also think twice as they think of, as you think of taking drastic measures in favor of love. Back to our couple tonight. That is Dr. Eddie and Julie. You've been married for over 20 years. Do you know how much your spouse makes? And is it important to know?
One of the things we were told during our marriage counseling 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, was that finances was was among the top 2 things that would cause marriage discord. I won't mention what the other one is, but it's among the top 2. And so from that early on in our marriage counseling, we were told that the way to avoid this is actually to be transparent about your finances with your spouse. So we had that counsel, that very wise counsel early on before we even got married. And it helped because the answer to your question is yes, it has worked for us, that we have been transparent from day one on how much we have earned. I have changed jobs a couple of times. My husband has changed positions but remained with the same organization. But each time we've got a different contract, we actually have shared it with each other. And I know what he earns. He knows what I earn. And it has worked perfectly. Because why? Why does it work perfectly? This has helped us have, manage our expectations. Because when I know what he earns, I am able to ask for realistic things. I'm not going to ask, earlier on, with the amount that he was earning, that we were both earning, I wouldn't have put demands for Mercedes-Benz or a Land Cruiser because I knew, we only have enough to survive. Kids were not yet there, but still, we could not go all in. So at one point, he was driving a Vitz. It was a small car, but we're happy with it. Why? Because I knew what our earnings were. I knew what he was earning. I knew what I was earning.
Thank you, Julie, for your beautiful words relating to that. But in a couple, you and your husband, there are always, some views that a man looks at in a different way or something. Eddie, what's your take on this?
Thank you, Brian, for the question. I agree with my wife. We received sound counseling. It was good counseling. The practical aspect of it, however, had its challenges. One, it involved us being transparent, completely transparent. And that in some ways meant I had to declare what I needed to use my money for. It also meant that I brought to the table a certain amount of money. I appreciated that as a man, as a husband. However, there has been a difference in how much we earn. I've had to do several things in order to ensure that overall our family income is where we want it to be. My wife is is very settled. She's very dynamic, progressive. I'm a hustler, and I've done very many things. So overall, it has worked well. It also meant that we had to have a budget we are following. And in some ways, we were told different things. So, for example, we were told to have a joint account. And we found that quite restrictive in some ways. We had a joint account at some point when we were building our first house. And it worked very well because it was very goal-driven. But we found that managing a joint account had its limitations. So although we have separate accounts, what we do is that we have a common understanding of how we manage our finances. And we look at our overall incomes as one. Even if they come through different bank accounts, we treat them as one entity. And we have a monthly priority list, and then we just allocate from our salaries, from our different incomes, where we're going to spend the money.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eddie. And for me, and back to the viewers, my take from this is that being open about your finances actually relieves you of, some financial stress that would just come. Because, you would open up yourself for your wife to know that, look, I earn 200K. So why are you demanding for a Mercedes for Bahamas retreat when I earn 200K? So that mix of, you knowing that my husband or my wife earns this, and you're comfortable so that you're not shocked by someone assuming that, hey, by the way, it seems my guy has a lot of money. So it's really a point to learn. But we can also just have a representation from the single side. If you reach there, would you be able to comfortably open up to your spouse?
There's something that I always go by, which is never hide anything from lawyers, doctors, and husbands, because these three people can actually save you when you're in deep end, right? So I believe that if I'm ever to get married, I will definitely be transparent about my finances, because it's not just about short-term goals, it's about long-term goals as well, right? It's about houses, it's about insurance, it's about rent, expenses, investments. There's so many dynamics when it comes to finance. So I think, I would definitely be transparent, and I would expect my spouse to be as transparent to me as well as I am to him.
Robinson has something to say.
Right now, obviously, right now I'm not going to tell you how much I earn. I'm not lie to you, but in the event that I get married, of course, if I've chosen you as my spouse, I'll definitely have to share. It's like a manager of a team hiding his tactics from the team. Because marriage is a team sport.
Thank you, Robinson. Jemima wants to crown it on that.
Yeah, and I really like what the couple has said. The current times where people say, my money is my money, his money is our money. So people want to hide. You've heard stories where a husband has investments the wife doesn't know. The wife has investments the husband doesn't know. And of course, eventually, this will break up a marriage because it's important to be transparent. It's important for your partner to know. And like she said, if something happens, your partner is your number one go-to person. Let them not even lie to you that it's your relatives. No, it is your partner that's going to be with you in hospital, is going to run to the scene where you've had trouble. So it's important that we stop this whole thing of my money, our money, just for the sake of the relationship and the family. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And to our viewers, you can clearly see that transparency is the way to go. I don't know what you think about it, but we leave that to you to, ponder and see how to go about that.
Perhaps I just felt like I should add to comfort our singles that the truth is it may not be easy from the start, just as Robinson said. It may not be easy from the start, but it does take a period of building of trust and commitment for one another. Over time, as you get to know this person, you know their spending habits, you know their dreams, you get to know them better. And so that trust growth actually does help for you to also become more transparent. But when you've just met someone, many times you have questions in your mind. Are there aspirations like mine? Are they going to take my money? We've had stories where, a husband has taken all the money and disappeared and married another wife. So those stories exist. Yes. So when you get into the marriage with these stories crowding your mind, you will be hesitant to share your money. You'll make savings, you'll make investments, and somehow not share with your spouse. But over time, hoping that your spouse proves himself as worthy of trusting, it does get easier. So it really does take trust and commitment to the relationship.
So I would just like to advise Robinson. I think one of the biggest things that is there is the whole idea about egos, but also the idea that men don't have to be transparent, or that they would want to keep some of the money for their own intentions and investments, that they don't have to be necessarily transparent. We also know that we come from an African culture where people might have children before they are married, and they have got to look into the expenses of those children, or they are looking after their own parents. And so there may be different pressures. There may be different pressures from the extended family, from investments that they want to do, from children that they have, not necessarily with their spouse or the person they are relating with. But overall, if you have good communication, you build the trust, you will be able to reach that point where you can lay everything on the table and say, look, I have these obligations, I have these plans, I want to do this, that, and the other. And then if you have an understanding spouse, if you choose right, it will work out.
Thank you, Eddie, for that advice to Robinson, and I hope he's speaking, given that he now falls in the single space. Yes, so let's let's move on. The next question, still to our married couple. What's the last project you financially worked on together? And what were some of the challenges you faced while doing this project? Were there any romantic compromises, or was it all about the numbers?
Okay, thank you, Brian, for that question. No, let me start by saying that the way we have done our project has changed over time. 20 years ago, what were we doing? We were building our first house, setting up the first small income generating ventures, trying our hands at gambling, getting into Ponzi schemes. So over time, what has happened is we have matured, we have grown, we have realized that we don't necessarily have to do things alone, but also the appetites for things like loans have gone up, because the kind of projects that we're doing now are not projects of 3 million, 4 million shillings. They are bigger because our dreams have grown bigger. Our needs for money have grown bigger. The families that we're looking after are bigger. We have 4 children now. 20 years ago, we didn't have any. We were just married, eating popcorns for supper. Now we can't. We can't do that. And so the kind of things we're doing now are much bigger. We are more careful. We know what kind of risks to take and what kind of risks to avoid. The last 2 projects that we have been at, one is we set up a hospital. So I learned about an idea that some oncologists in Kampala were discussing. And it sounded like a good idea. When I thought about it, these were professionals who were passionate about cancer care. They were talking about the first private cancer hospital in the country. And they were setting it up in Kampala. And they were looking for people who could bring both expertise, skills, knowledge in medicine and cancer care, but also were looking for money. And this was a significant amount of money. So we had to have a conversation, my wife and I. Can we join this group? Can they be trusted? Is the kind of money they are asking to start out, just to set up, realistic? Could we afford it? And so we had to have that conversation. At the end of the day, we got into partnerships, we formed a company, and that's how we established this private cancer center. Did it come with a lot of sacrifice? Yes, on our side, because we had to literally shed off some luxuries and the things we enjoy. We had to delay some of the pleasures of this life in order to invest into this venture. Of the 2 of us, I'm the one who is a director and a shareholder in this company. So we keep laughing that every time we would refer to our involvement, I would always say my shareholding. I'm a director. When you're married, these things actually do matter. So it turns out that this is important. So when I would refer to my involvement, my shareholding, my directorship, I had to be redirected that it was our shareholding. So there was a time when we had to have this tough conversation and say, it is our investment as a couple, but you are the one whose name appears on the company list. But yeah, that's how it has gone. It has been a wonderful journey. We are glad that as a couple we have invested in this cancer hospital. And at the end of the day, we feel proud that I can practice there, but that we're actually caring for people and offering a service that is unique and very different from what is available in Kampala.
Thank you, Eddie, for sharing your thoughts and These are really, really great insights. And Sana, you had a follow-up question for our couple here. Please go ahead.
So I really appreciate how honest and transparent you have been with us. The question that I have for you is, if you could go back 20 years, right? What would you do differently to not have compromised on all the romantic relationship or any other compromise that you did? What is that one advice you would give to us that we wouldn't do it that way, so it'd be better, or even for the both of you?
Well, thank you, Sana, for that question. I had to think a little bit. I think one thing, the experience that my husband just shared is one that has made us step back on our retirement saving, our retirement planning, because we had to dig a lot in what we thought we had advanced, because we fortunately got advice and had started our retirement saving earlier on, but we had to dig deep into that, and it took us back. So if we were to do this again, I think we would have started our retirement saving from year 1 of our marriage, so that hopefully in year 20 we'd have a really big fat account where we can take out huge amounts, and maybe it wouldn't harm our plans so much, because that's what I see. I think we started this retirement account in, by estimation, maybe 10 or 12, thereabout. If we would have started it in year 1 of our marriage, that amount would be so much bigger, and perhaps would be able to do even much bigger things right now.
I just wanted to build on to that, because she said that if they had started earlier in their lives, it would have been so much more easier. And that's what we offer here, right? We don't have a minimal investment. It's just 100,000 shillings. And you can start whenever, wherever you want. It's so much easier. It's very convenient. So I would urge the youngsters of this generation to come forward and start early, so that you can save more, you can earn more, and you can invest in business, and you can retire earlier.
So thank you very much, Sana, for that addition. I just needed to emphasize that, in fact, it is so much easier these days to do this kind of investment in the fund markets, because we have companies like Cornerstone, which give us an opportunity to invest with as little as 100,000. In the past, we didn't have these opportunities. So it's a good thing. If you're getting married today, you have a much more fertile ground to do an early investment with a very little startup amount. We didn't have this opportunity 20 years ago.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you, our lovely couple. Turning the question to the Singles Club. What is that first project you would take up between you and your spouse?
That's a difficult one, Brian. It's a difficult one. But for the sake of this conversation, if I were to get married tomorrow, I would invest to grow my capital through financial markets. And then the income I would get from there, I would invest to buy assets like houses, cars, gold, stocks, and all of that. I think that will be my first investment, because, I mean, come on, my background is mathematics, actuarial science. I have to think very logically here.
Thank you, Sana, for your thoughts. Let's also hear from the single guy's perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. So if I were to get married tomorrow, maybe I would think about opening a joint account with my wife, and we invest our money, but also we need to have a nice car. I think I will, first thing we shall do is to get a nice car, and we first survive the borders and the walking. As you had called it, Futsubishi. So a very nice car would first do the job, then the joint account, because I think it's a very good idea to set up a joint account and invest some of your funds. Yeah.
Thank you, Robinson. Jamie, do you have any different perspective?
You know, one of the mistakes we made was when people give you business ideas, you invest in that without even inquiring, how does it work? They tell you mobile money works, you run for it, you can't even supervise. You're at your 9 to 5 job, there's somebody on the kiosk, but you're not making money. You're even using your salary to pay them. So those were some of the mistakes that we made. And of course, now you start blaming each other, but it was your idea, but it's not working. Then they tell you chicken works, you jump onto that one. But knowing what I know now, I think what I would even advise anyone, or what I would even do is, if you have no plan for your money, at least put it in the financial market. Let it be making for you interest as you organize yourself. Learn about whatever it is that you're going to invest in. Because honestly, if we did that, it would have saved us a lot of money. But see, you're working backwards. Invest to lose. Invest to lose. Because you can't even supervise. So that is the one thing, honestly, that I would do over again if I was to do again. And it's something that I would encourage anyone to do. Let your money grow as you figure out, what do I invest in? And how is it working? How will it work? So that you make very calculated risks.
Thank you, Jamie, for your thoughts and submission. Back to our viewers. There's a trend where couples or married couples call it investing in huge country homes, and we find so many couples or even relationships putting up huge mansions in the country or in the countryside. So, to our lovely couple, what are your thoughts? Do you have one up country or something? Is it something you look at? Please share with us.
Brian, that's a brilliant question. I will tell you what is on the ground for us. What is on the ground for us is we do not have a personal home. What we have is a family home that we share as an extended family in Kabale. And that home is for all of us as our siblings, our parents. Most of us are based in Kampala. We work in Kampala or surrounding districts. And this is where our livelihood is. We only go to the village once or twice a year. So it doesn't make financial sense for us to have an individual home for each and every one of my siblings. So we have a shared family home that we go to and we live together, and that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Eddie, for your thoughts. Your wife might have something to say about that aspect.
Thank you, my husband, for that submission. I do agree with what he just mentioned, but in fact, you will find that the amount of money that we tend to spend constructing huge houses, especially where they're not being used frequently, does multiply in the sense that you need even more to maintain this property. So in the end, if you made a decision like that as a couple to do a huge house, a huge mansion in a village, you are going to spend more money maintaining that property. And you will also find that while it's a good idea to diversify investments, actually, the Bible does talk about diversifying investments. Invest in 7 or 8 investments. You never know where the wind will come from. Real estate is a good investment. It is solid, but you may have to do computations about how much you will earn from a real estate in result net income against if you would, for instance, take the unequivalent amount of money and invest it in a fund market. So real estate in itself is not bad, but it wouldn't be a good idea to put all of your investments in real estate. You may have some real estate, but please diversify because you will find that there is more income to make if you would put the unequivalent amount into a fund market.
Thank you, Julie and Eddie, for sharing with us and your thoughts on that. And back to our viewers. You've heard for yourself from the different participants today. It's been such an interesting topic, and we've learned quite a lot, and we've seen that it's actually possible to save money as a couple and propel your financial goals as a team. And from today, I can clearly say you can save as a couple, you can have a joint account and run it efficiently. And then also, maybe just to give you tips from what we've learned today is that, one, you can have financial goals as a couple to see yourself growing financially. Then to diversify your investments and spread risk. Then number 3 is that be transparent. Be transparent. It doesn't hurt for someone to be transparent and, working together as a couple. Thank you so much, team. Thank you so much, the Singles Club. We've learned from both sides. And back to our viewers once again, thank you so much for being part of Cornerstone Fireplace episode 2. Look out for our next episode. And please remember to share your comments and views in our comment section. Thank you once again. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, the teams that have participated in today's discussion. And we come to an end of this discussion. Thank you.